David Ricardo. Born in London in 1772, David Ricardo became interested in economics after reading Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations book in 1799. Compared to Smith, his views were more specific and less in the realm of philosophy. Ricardo is best known for 1. His first work, The High Price of Bullion, a proof of depreciation of banknotes, published in 1810, where he argued that there was a link between the increased volume of banknotes and price levels. 2. His most famous work, Principles of Economy and Taxation, written in 1817, where, among other things, he articulated the labor theory value, stating that the value of a commodity depends on the quality of labor required to produce it, and the theory of comparative advantage, advocating free trade even more situations than Adam Smith's absolute advantage perspective. The theory of comparative advantage. Regardless of whether you think economies work best on the off chance that they are left alone or that legislatures need to plan something so that they work, the only thing which we cannot take under control is the remainder of the world. Dread of unfamiliar rivalry once drove nations to attempt to create all they required and force weightless taxes to keep out unfamiliar merchandise. Notwithstanding, economist David Ricardo showed that worldwide exchange could really improve everybody off, acquiring one of the principal incredible economic models. Ricardo brought up that regardless of whether a nation can create particularly everything at the most minimal conceivable expense, with what business analysts call an absolute advantage, it is actually better to zero in on the items it can produce most effective and efficient, that penance minimal measures of different products, and let the remainder of the world do the same. By practicing, they would then be able to send out these overflows to one another and both end up good. This is the guideline of comparative advantage, and it is convinced numerous nations to join international alliances. Yet, lamentably, it can possibly be a long effort for nations to exchange their way to success. What is more, since it is presently a lot simpler to move to where the cash is, it is inexorably products that cross boundaries as well as individuals, which has some degree removed Ricardo's hypothesis. The labor theory of value. The labor theory of value is another theory David Ricardo wrote about. According to Ricardo's, value of a commodity or the quantity of any other commodity for which it will exchange depends on the relative quantity of labor which is necessary for its production, and on the greater or lesser compensation which is paid for the laborer. Ricardo meant that the value of a certain good depends on the labor required to produce it. This labor includes the raw materials used in equipment being utilized along the process of some of it, all would be the value of certain goods or service.